Hey kids, we're going to do a garden update for this week. So, I'm here in the field corn. You can see that it's gotten massive. It's probably, this one's probably 10, 12 feet tall and they're just starting to flower. So you'll remember from our pollination segment, lots of pollen's flying through the air and landing on these silks and making all of our corn. Our squash, not doing as well as we had hoped. This is our winter squash, butternut and pumpkins, and we've lost a few. We've got some that we seeded and they're just starting to come up, but we have sunflowers in here which are doing really well. Our sweet corn is doing really well. We've got some nice ears of corn on here that any day now most of these are going to be ready to eat, and I'm actually going to break this one off just to see. So you can see the silks have turned brown, and I'll bet you if I peel this back we're going to see some nice kernels.
That looks yummy.
That's ready.
That's some good looking corn right there.
Let me taste it.
You're not even going to cook it? Just taste it raw, huh?
Delicious.
Right off the stalk.
I like sweet corn fresh. And then we have our red one. Let's see if this one's ready. Look how pretty that skin, the leaves are on that.
That's cool.
Peel this back. You ever seen red sweet corn before?
I have never seen red sweet corn.
I don't think these are quite ready. They're close.
How can you tell that they're not ready?
Pretty sure when these are fully ripe, these will be the whole kernel. There'll be no more white left. It'll be all red.
Yeah.
See how purple that is there?
That's cool.
We'll wait a few more days, but I'll take that home and cook it or something. This squash is doing very well. We have some gourds in here. The gourds are really taking off. It's been really hot and dry the past few weeks, so we've been having to run the sprinkler to make sure everything gets enough water because we haven't had any rain. Heading over here, our melons starting to spread. We look in here, there's all kinds of flowers. And if we look close enough, we'll probably find a baby melon in here somewhere. I'm not seeing any.
It's like Finding Waldo.
There's a tiny little one there.
Oh, there we go.
So assume a bunch of melons. We have some beans planted here. Our beans have had a pretty rough year this year. You can see a lot of bean beetles eating on them. You probably remember the bean beetles from our insect week. So something's up with the beans this year. Do you guys remember what kind of melon this is here with this really cut looking leaf, feathery looking leaf? This is watermelon. These are doing really, really well. They're happy. They love the heat. We head up here. Our okra is really taken off. You can see how big it's gotten. And if we look in here close, you'll see it's about to flower. So we'll be eating okra very soon. We dug our potatoes out of here, which you got some of those last week. Still got one more bed that will probably wait a little bit to harvest, maybe another couple of weeks. And you can see the sweet potatoes are spreading like crazy. And our tomatoes, they're really starting to take off. You can see all kinds of fruit is forming. So really any day now we're gonna have ripe tomatoes to eat. We ripped out these lima beans, and in place of the lima beans we planted some more cucumbers. They were just seeded yesterday, so those will be ready to eat in about a month or so, or maybe a little bit later. More tomatoes. Here's where our garlic was, and we'll be reseeding that with something soon. So that's the lower garden update. So now we're in the raised beds. If you remember our beans that were doing pretty well a couple weeks ago, well, they really got hit hard by the bean beetles. So they're not doing so well. We're gonna harvest the last little bit of beans that are in here, and then we're gonna cut these out and plant something else. Our onions. These are all starting to become ready to harvest. When they're ready, they fall over like this. And so you can see there's a nice little red onion in there. So probably next week we'll harvest all of our onions and we'll store those to eat throughout the winter. Here's our Malabar spinach you've been seeing for several weeks now, and it's starting to climb. It's a vine. So we could start eating this. We'll wait a little bit longer till it's a bit bigger, and then we can eat a bunch of that. This bed we just seeded to some more zucchini and squash. You can see it's just starting to come up. So that'll be for our late season zucchini. Here's our first planting of cucumbers, and they're really just starting to grow. Climbing up our trellis. And if we look over here, there's actually a baby cucumber that will be ready to eat any day now. It's a white cucumber. See that?
Mm.
Peppers, they're really starting to go. All kinds of peppers in this bed. Our basil, very happy. And you'll remember that from our pasta sauce. We cooked with some of that basil. Not only do we have this regular green basil, we have this sweet tasting Thai basil. We have a lemon flavored basil, and then we have this purple basil. This is really exciting. This is our melon tunnel here.
What kind of melon?
These are cantaloupes.
Oh, yum.
So we have one variety on this side and another variety on this. And you can see we got our first melon right here forming.
Fun.
A little baby one behind it. Then we've got this black looking net here. And underneath that is our lettuce. This is called shade cloth. Since it's been close to 90 degrees every day, we wanted to give the lettuce a little more shade. And you can see underneath that net, it's really starting to grow. So probably in a week or two, we'll have some nice heads of lettuce we can start eating. Here is our second round of zucchini and squash. Really starting to get big. They'll be flowering soon. So we'll be able to eat zucchini again not too long. Our eggplants, they're also flowering and they have some of their first fruits on them. Here you can see this is a black eggplant, and that'll get quite big. And we'll eat that soon. So they're doing really well. This is exciting. These are our peanuts. And you can see they're starting to flower here. There's little yellow flowers. And what's cool about these is they flower and then they get pollinated and then they bury underground. They literally will push underground. That's where the peanut will grow, is under the soil. So in the fall we'll be able to dig this up and there'll be tons of peanuts buried under there. Now this bed is a little bit of a disappointment. This is where a groundhog keeps coming and eating salad pretty much every night. So our carrots have gotten their hair cut many times, but you can see we still have some carrots in there. And I think next week we'll pull all these carrots out and we'll send some of those home. Our beets, same story. The groundhog just comes in here and has dinner every night pretty much. So they're not doing so well. Our last two beds, we've got beans. The last round of beans planted, these will be for late summer. And they're just starting to poke out. And then we have our late potatoes over here. These were planted, let's see, wow, almost a month ago these were planted. And these are just starting to grow out. And so we'll harvest those probably in October for our late potatoes. And then look at this, we have a volunteer watermelon just growing out of the edge of the bed. So that'll be some nice bonus watermelons for us. Little hoop house update. You can see things are doing really well in here. We have our tomatoes growing up their strings nice and tall. The squash getting massive. And we've been picking squash out of there. And then the peppers back here are all doing really well. Looks like they're mostly hot peppers maybe. So if you like spicy peppers, we'll have a bunch of those for you. And then we have this eggplant over here. These were planted late and they had a lot of flea beetles on them, if you remember. They still do. So they're not doing too well. We'll keep them covered, try to keep them watered, and maybe they'll hang on for a late eggplant harvest. That's it. Onions. These are all starting to become ready to harvest. When they're ready, they fall over like this. And so you can see there's a nice little red onion in there. You can see it's just starting to come up. So that'll be for our late season zucchini. Then we've got this black looking net here. This is called shade cloth.